Today on the podcast, I have a special guest joining me, and we are going to be sharing all about taking kids to New York City during Christmas time. So if that's on your radar, listen in. Hi, I'm Rhea.
And I'm Dwayne.
And we are your hosts of the Travel Party of Five podcast, where we share how we travel as a family of five around the world.
We will also share how we use points and miles to travel as affordably as possible and sometimes even completely free.
So if you're wanting to travel more with your family, but you're not sure how, we'd love for you to listen in.
So welcome to our podcast, where we hope you learn a thing or two to get you closer to your next trip.
Hello and welcome back to the Travel Party of Five podcast. Dwayne is not here for this episode because instead I have a special guest, and that special guest is our 10-year-old son, Dominic.
Hello.
So Dominic and I took a trip to New York City in December of 2022, and this was just me and him, and it was his birthday gift. And so he got to choose, party or trip, and he chose the trip. And so we're going to share about what we did. And if you are planning a trip with your kids to New York for Christmas time, I think this will be helpful. Okay, so first I am going to quickly share how we got there and where we stayed, and then we'll jump into activities and some places that we ate. And so this was before we really got into travel hacking. Actually, we had started travel hacking, but we hadn't earned a lot of points yet. So we paid cash for our flights. I think we flew on Delta, and I think it was around $300 a person. And we stayed at the Hyatt Place, New York, Midtown South, which was a pretty central location. That is a Category 5 Hyatt. You can book that for 20,000 points a night. We paid cash, though, when we stayed. And I actually used my $300 travel credit from the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Got credited that for this hotel stay. So the room, do you remember the room, bud?
Yeah, it was a pretty small room, and there wasn't a lot to do, and I could barely fall asleep because there was so much construction going on outside our building.
The hotel room was small. Yes. It had a king bed, I think, and a little desk and a bathroom, and that's it. But there was only two of us, and we didn't really need much more space than that. Also, hotels in New York, all of them are small. That's just how it goes. So, I think they had free breakfast at this hotel. Did we ever get free breakfast there?
No, we never did.
Yeah, because we just got bagels every day.
The bagels were the best breakfast that I've ever had in my entire life. They were bussin'.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we've talked about how we got there. We've talked about where we stayed. And so let's talk about some of the activities that we did. Okay. So the first night we went to Times Square. What did you think of Times Square?
I was not a fan of the costumes at all.
Yeah. So if you've never been to Times Square, they have like these characters, and they are, they're not authentic, let's say. And some of them can be even a little creepy. And we were there. It was dark when we were there. And so obviously there's light, it's tons of lights. But yeah, Dominic was not the biggest fan. He thought they were kind of creepy. But we did it. We saw Times Square. We also went to Bryant Park. So Bryant Park is pretty close to our hotel. And that's where we went to both ice skating and the Christmas market. Do you remember the Christmas market where we walked around and we got hot chocolate?
The hot chocolate was very good.
Yes.
It felt so good going down my throat because my My throat was almost frozen solid.
Because it was pretty chilly, huh? It wasn't too bad, but it was chilly.
Yeah. Also, I wish it would have snowed while we were there, but it didn't.
Yes, it did not snow, sadly. Do you want to talk a little bit about ice? So for ice skating, there's 3 different places you can ice skate. There's Bryant Park, there's Central Park, and then Rockefeller Center. I'm pretty sure all of those places need reservations, and the reservation window opens up at different times depending on where you want to go. But for Bryant Park, I feel like it's a week or 2 before, and so I made us a reservation, and so we went, and we didn't really wait very long for our time. It was your first time ice skating, though. How was that for you? Did you like it?
I personally was terrified because I fell like 20 times and it was freezing.
It was cold, and
we were only there for like 20 minutes.
We didn't stay very long because Dominic was like, I'm not really enjoying this, so we didn't stay.
I was not.
But we did it. And I think if you've been ice skating before, it's a fun thing to do. Okay, what else? We went to the World Trade Center Memorial. So Dominic that year for the first time had kind of learned about September 11th and had a lot of questions about the Twin Towers. And so we got to see the memorial. And what did you think of that, bud?
It was super sad.
It was very sad, yes. Are you glad that you got to see it, though?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you're not familiar, the Trade Center, or the World Trade Center Memorial is in Lower Manhattan. And so it's like right on the water, or very close to it, and so you can walk down there and you can see the Statue of Liberty from there too. So we did that too, and it was pretty far away, huh?
It looked like a stick coming off of an island coming out of the ocean.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is pretty far away, but we saw it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, we also did Macy. We went to Macy's to see SantaLand, but
we couldn't really get to see much of the Christmas stuff, the really Christmassy stuff, because you had to make a reservation to see Santa, and the whole Santa area is the most Christmassy part.
Yeah, so he didn't really want to see Santa, which is why I didn't make the reservation, but I didn't realize that I mean, they have it decorated, but like the really fun stuff, I think, is like when you have a reservation. So even if you don't really want to see Santa, you like the kind of way that you get to see Santa and the line that you wait in, I think is like the really Christmassy part. So I would absolutely make a reservation next time, even if you have a kid that maybe doesn't really want to see Santa. I would do it anyways.
And there's also like this train that you could play in, and it's really, really fun.
Yes, we did get to do that.
It was fun.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Do you want to talk about let's talk about the Broadway show that we saw. So you saw your first Broadway show on this trip. What did you think of it?
It was kind of scary though. And we got to see the Harry Potter one, and it was like they actually used like real magic.
Yeah, so we saw Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And before we went, we made sure that we watched all the movies.
Every single movie.
We watched all the movies. So, and if you are going to see this show, it is important that you see all the movies.
Because it has like multiple parts of multiple movies.
Yes, lots of references to other things that happen in the movies and or the books. And it would not have been as good if we didn't have that understanding.
Yeah.
But it is like a totally different story. So it's cool. It was cool.
It's like, you know how like there are movies, but then like in the books, it's also like a kind of different story.
Yeah. Yeah. This was the best Broadway show I've ever seen in my life.
It was the only Broadway show I've ever seen.
I know, but I'm telling you, it was the best. And one of the tips that I read is to sit not super close, because if you do sit super close, you can kind of see how they do the magic. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted it to look like magic, and it did.
It looked like they were Darth Vader and they used the Force or something. It was crazy.
I will say though, if you have younger kids, like this is probably not for them, because what are the things called? The things that come up. Dementors, yeah.
Yeah, they're like Dementors, and they like fly right above you. Yeah. And just don't bring little kids.
Yeah.
Arya would have been terrified. Donovan would have screamed.
Yeah.
And he just would have ran out the building. So.
Okay. But highly recommend that show though.
Yeah, very fun.
We also got to go to Central Park. And what did you think of Central Park?
It was the best thing ever, because there were so many rocks and I love to climb. And plus, it's really big and there's a lot of space to like run around, and there are a lot of playgrounds there. I got to play on like 5 of them.
We walked all through the park, and Dominic had a great time just exploring. And I think it was nice for him too, because New York is a lot of walking, but it's not a lot of open space. And so I think he really enjoyed that. I think you also would have really liked the zoo, but we didn't do the zoo because it was pretty cold. So
wait, there's a zoo?
Yeah, there's a zoo.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. So we also visited FAO Schwartz, which was the toy store. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I do. Because my mom wouldn't let me buy any toys, but she let me get like a bag and I got to fill it with a bunch of candy. But sadly, that was eaten like a month later by my brother and sister.
Well, I'm pretty sure you ate some too.
Yeah, like only a quarter though.
But you didn't get to pick out a toy because why?
They were very expensive.
That's not why. I mean, they were not cheap, but you didn't get to pick out a toy because 1, it was Christmas in just a few weeks, and 2, the trip was your gift. Remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Do you remember the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree? We saw that. Like the really big tree.
Yeah.
It was like really crowded to see it. Remember?
We were like crowded like on the edge of the sidewalk.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. And do you remember that the first night we saw what I thought was the tree?
Yeah, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't the tree.
It was like 4 blocks away from the actual tree.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. I saw a tree and I thought, oh, this must be the tree. But then when I saw the actual tree, I realized, oh no, this is the tree. So.
Yeah, and I think like on the way to one of those trees, I think there's like an ornament, like there are a bunch of like Christmas colored ornaments stacked on top of each other.
Oh, the red ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, those are really big.
Dun, 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 dun. They were like twice the size of me.
Yeah, they were pretty big. Okay, I think the last activity that we haven't talked about yet is the museum. So we went to the American Museum of Natural History because Dominic loves
dinosaurs.
Yes. And so what did you think of that?
I thought it was really fun. And there were just a bunch of things there. And the dinosaurs were the one and only thing we got to see because it's the only thing I wanted to see, and the dinosaur bones just look so cool.
They're so big,
awesome. Huh? Yeah. One dinosaur was like 5 times my size.
Yeah. And so we did this on our last day too. So we didn't have all day to spend because we had to get to the airport. But we had enough time we got breakfast and we went to the museum and we were there for a couple of hours and it was plenty of time to see the dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah, but sadly my camera died like at the middle, in the middle of the time that we were there. So I only got to take like a few pictures.
Yeah. But it's okay. I have pictures, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about food. Okay. Your favorite, yes.
I got steak frites most of the time. That's like the only thing I got. And if you don't know what steak frites are, it's like steak and then like fries.
Yes.
And I also got a cocktail, which was bussin'. It tasted so good.
It was a non-alcoholic cocktail for anyone who's wondering. Okay, so we ate, I don't remember the name of the restaurant we ate at the first night, or the second night actually, where you got the fettuccine Alfredo. Okay, so after we went to the Harry Potter show, we went to the, like, I think it was like a 2:00 showing. And so it ended around dinner time. So we were trying to get dinner.
Yeah.
And the place I had planned to get dinner didn't have any availability, and we didn't have a reservation. So we were just kind of walking by and stumbled upon this Italian restaurant / bar, and they were going to let us sit right away, but they only had room at the bar. And so I asked the guy, like, is it okay if he sits at the bar? Because Dominic was 9.
Yeah.
And the guy said, I won't tell if you won't tell. And so we sat at the bar. We ordered food. I ate mine there, but Dominic wanted.
I wanted to stay at the hotel so I could watch my iPad while I ate, because I don't like eating just like sitting there. I like some entertainment while I watch.
Well, I think so. He just wanted to kind of zone out for a little bit, which I understand, because the city, especially for kids, can be really overstimulating. And so I think he just wanted some downtime. So he saved his food. We got it to go, and we took it back to the hotel, and he ate it there. And he was just living his best life. And I didn't understand it at first, but when I thought about it, I realized, I think he just needs some alone time. So he watched his show and he ate his food, and it was delicious pasta though.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the name of it.
Yeah, my mom thought it was good.
Yeah.
Did you think it was better than yours?
I thought it was just as good as mine.
Oh.
Yep. And
Well, you got a lobster pasta? Is that what you got?
Yeah. And my pasta was not as good as your pasta.
Yeah. It had just like this one, I think it was like, it looked like a shrimp and just a big shrimp on top.
Yeah. It was like a seafood fettuccine, but
yeah,
the pasta that you had was just as good as the homemade Alfredo that I make. So
your homemade pasta is so much better because the sauce is so much more creamy.
Thanks, bud. Okay. We also we got some bagels. So the bagels we got came from Essa Bagels for the most part. What did you think of the bagels?
I'm going to be honest. The bagels were awesome. From now on, the only bagels I've been eating are the bagels that are from New York. So I haven't eaten a single bagel for like, I don't know, 3 months or so. And now for breakfast, I've just been eating hash browns with eggs.
We ate at Maison Pickle, which your dad and I talked about in the episode where he and I went to New York. But you also got steak frites there, and that was good. We had breakfast before the Museum of Natural History at Sarah Beth's, and that was also good. It was just your basic breakfast, so like bacon, eggs, hash browns kind of a thing. We ate at Angelo's Pizzeria, and that's where you got the spaghetti, and I got pizza, and you loved that spaghetti, huh?
It was very good, and it was like, I would have had to save some for like the next day. It was so much.
Yes, it was quite the large portion. And then we had 2 desserts while we were there too. So we went to Magnolia Bakery. that was honestly, the line was so long and the desserts were not that good. They're famous for banana pudding and they didn't have any. So we got some other desserts and they weren't that good. So I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't go back.
I wouldn't recommend it either.
But the other thing that was on my list was I wanted to try Milk Bar. So we got that right before we went into Central Park. And what were you just telling me about Milk Bar and the show that you like to watch?
Oh, yeah. So there's this show on Netflix called Bake Squad. And, like, the leader of Bake Squad, I'm pretty sure, like, she says she created Milk Bar.
Yeah, so it's the founder of Milk Bar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christina Tosi, I think.
Oh, nice. Okay. So we had, like, a little kind of bar from there, and it was good. We got it from inside Nordstrom, I think.
Yeah,
there's a location right by Central Park. Did you feel like visiting New York during December got you in the Christmas spirit?
Yeah, kind of. But mostly it just made me feel happy.
It made you feel happy?
Yeah.
How come?
There was just a lot of things that you let me do.
Yeah. And you got to spend time with Mommy, just one-on-one, right? Which we don't get a lot of. That was fun, huh?
Especially not with my siblings.
Yes. Well, yes. Dominic has 2 younger siblings, and he's very helpful with them.
They are just 2 tornadoes ready to destroy anything.
Okay, so if I were heading to New York City with kids again in December or really any time, there are 2 other things that I would do that you and I didn't do. And I feel like maybe they didn't exist when we went, but I could be wrong. Maybe I just didn't know about them. One is the Ice Cream Museum, and the other one is the Balloon Museum, I think it's called. And so both of those things, I think, look super fun. And that's what, if we were going to go back again, we would do those things also.
I had no clue what those were at the time, and I had no clue what they were today.
I mean, they didn't come up when I was searching for things to do. So that's what makes me think they didn't exist at that time. But, and then, yeah, we just flew out back on Delta, back home. It is a 6-hour flight straight from New York to Phoenix, and that was a long flight.
I forgot, but I think I might have fallen asleep.
You didn't. You just kept asking me every 2 hours how much longer. And when I would say after 2 hours, when I said 4 hours, you were like, what? But thankfully, Delta has charging ports in their seats. So.
Oh, yeah, that saved the ride.
Saved it, yeah.
Because then I just started playing like Slither.io.
Yeah. So I hope this episode was helpful. If you are thinking of taking your kids to New York for Christmas time, I will just give you a heads up that it is crowded. And so, if you have younger kids and a stroller, I would do everything I could to maybe carry them in a carrier or something versus pushing a stroller around. There's just a lot of people. And so just be prepared for that. And it's not going to ruin your time as long as you have the right expectations, I think. And I mean, New York any other time of year is also a great time, I think. So I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for listening. Would love a review if you wouldn't mind leaving one. And, that just helps more people find our podcast. And we will catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye.